It's 7 p.m. on March 10th, 2022. I'm calling to order this meeting of the Town of Hingham Select Board. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the Town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is there anyone else recording this meeting? Seeing none, I will note for the record that members of the Select Board participating this evening are Bill Ramsey, Liz Klein, and myself, Joe Fisher. I believe there are no minutes to be approved this evening, so I will move to the next item on the agenda, which is to consider the approval of the extension to the grant agreement with Hingham Community Access and Media, Inc. Tom, would you introduce this agreement to us, please? And I do understand that there is a current version of the proposed agreement that has been recently provided to each member of the Select Board.
Yeah, that's right. I'll show you that change here. So we have, I think you guys are aware, we had entered into an agreement to extend by a few months the HCAM, or better known now as Harbor Media, agreement a few months ago, to extend it to March 15th to give us time to enter into a new permanent agreement with them, or a new 5-year agreement with them. That work is underway. We made significant progress. I am very hopeful and positive that that will happen here in the next several days. But to that end, I think it would be helpful if we could have, and I've spoken with the Harbor Media representative, Laura Burns, who agrees that if we had a simple 30-day extension to that agreement, or one more 30-day extension to that agreement right now, that will get us over the line, and we'll be able to get our new 5-year contract in place at that point, before April 15th.
Got it. So is the proposed form of agreement, is that acceptable to HCAM?
Yeah, it's the exact same language we used with the correction that we made tonight, that we used in the prior agreement extension. So that was, and this is. And Laura understands we're doing this with the same language that we did before.
Right, but what I'm asking is HCAM, are they agreeable to the terms of this proposed extension?
So HCAM, the board, has not voted it. Yeah. But Laura Burns, as their representative, has said that she understands we need to do an agreement, and we're going to do it under the same terms we did before, which is what this is. So their representative has said yes.
Okay, thank you. And is it your view that a 1-month extension is sufficient?
Yes.
And will this extension result in any expenditure of funds by the town?
No.
Okay.
I can walk you through the change if you'd like, just sure. So you know. Okay. The updated version on the back page, it references Harbor Media, Inc. It should have referenced Hingham Community Access and Media, Inc., like the rest of the document does. So I just made that quick change.
Okay. Liz, any comments or questions?
I am the liaison for this, so I've been involved in the negotiations. So no questions. I support the 1-month extension. And as Tom said, we're very close to coming together on the 5-year agreement as well. So I would expect that very soon.
Great. And thanks for your work on that, Liz. Bill, any comments or questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
So are there any members of the public with comments or questions on the proposed HCAM extension agreement? Seeing none, I'm prepared to accept the motion.
I make a motion to sign the extension to the grant agreement with Hingham Community Access and Media Incorporated, effective until April 15th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And Joe? Aye. Approved. Next, we move to the 2022 Annual Town Meeting warrant article discussion for Articles D and E. Tom, are we prepared to move forward at this point?
We are, in that by being told that the Personnel Board has voted that both of these articles have passed the Personnel Board tonight. However, they are finishing up, I guess, right now an executive session. After their meeting has ended, they should be out of it any minute now, and they will be to us momentarily. I'm trying to talk slowly so they have time to come.
But just so I'm clear, is it David Pace who will be joining us, or
Yes.
more than him? So
Just David, I believe.
okay, so this is not intended to be a joint meeting with the Personnel Board.
No, it is not. That's right.
Okay. Then we will pass on this until David has the opportunity to join us. And I'll move to the next item on our agenda, which is not going to be appointments, because I don't believe there are any appointments.
No, there are no appointments.
So I will move to public comment. Are there any members of the public who have comments on items not on the agenda?
I think we need to give that a little more time, just in case.
Well, I see none, so I'm going to move to the Town Administrator Select Board reports. Tom, do you have anything to report this evening?
It's been
This
a
is
very
your
busy
opportunity
week.
You can wax prolific this evening right now.
Right, it's been a very busy week. I will take this opportunity. I think I will, actually. I'll take this opportunity to tell everybody what I had the pleasure to tell Liz and Bill a little bit earlier. I rarely get a chance to take a breather and a break, and today I did. From 6 to 6:30, I walked out back and I walked around the Cronin Field, and the air was fresh and crisp, and I was looking up at Town Hall, and I was looking out at the field, and I was looking out at the basketball courts and the rink, and it occurs to me that I don't say this enough to you guys, but also to the town, that thank you for the opportunity that you all give me to do what I do. I'm lucky to be here. I know it. This is an unbelievably great town. The support that you get in this town and the amenities that we're able to support the public with, it's a unique opportunity, and I'm just thrilled and lucky to be here. So anyway, thank you all.
Art, anything that you would like to say this evening as your report?
Oh, thank you, Joe. I am pleased to report that I had the opportunity earlier today with Liz to meet with representatives of the Commission on Disability. We're working out a path forward in finding ways to unleash some financial resources to make available to support their work. And in a related vein, we're poised to move forward on our ADA self-assessment and transition plan. As you may recall, we did receive a state grant earlier this year. We've identified a vendor, and we're looking to start that work through a kickoff meeting next week.
Thank you, Art. Liz, anything that you would like to report on?
Sure. As Art mentioned, we had a great meeting with representatives from the Commission on Disabilities today. And I would just a reminder to the public, if anyone needs special accommodations for town meeting, to call the Select Board's office. We are putting plans together, like listening devices that we had last year. But if there are other accommodations that people need, please reach out. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Ramsey.
Nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
So I will report based on my discussions with Tom Mayo that I believe we are extending the deadline for persons to apply to be on the Human Rights Commission by 2 weeks. So that deadline will now be March 25th of 2022. So make sure that is posted on the town website. And for those listening, please avail yourselves of the opportunity. It's important to the town, and we look forward to the community's participation. And with that,
Bill might have a report.
Michelle, I didn't give you a chance to give your Assistant Town Administrator report, which I know will be extensive.
Good evening, everyone. I have nothing to report other than Mr. Pace will be joining us shortly. They're just finishing the very last item on their agenda. Thank you.
Okay.
Michelle, if you're comfortable walking the board through Article E, maybe like you said, we may not
Sure.
need Dave for Article E.
Yeah, I think Article E is a little bit more minor than I'm sure he would like to speak about the Personnel Board report in Article D. So Article E, let's turn here.
Sorry, Joe, if you're ready. I didn't mean to.
Ready? Yep. That's I think that's a good move.
This is one of our perennial articles, and it fixes the salaries of certain town officers. So it covers the select board, the board of assessors, the town clerk, and the municipal light board. For many of these, I'm not sure they count as salaries, but they're seen as amounts to sort of offset some of the things that you may come across in filling these offices during the year. I don't think these amounts have changed for a while, but the personnel board did vote to approve Article E as written this year.
So I did have a question. The very last item in Article E, which says, provided that the salary of the town clerk shall be reduced by all retirement allowances and pensions received by such officer from the town of Hingham. If you could just explain what that means and if that language has been in prior articles, in prior town meetings.
I believe that means that she's able to, or that person is able to contribute to a pension, that those deductions are made from her salary. And I believe, let me just double check last year. That same language was in the warrant last year.
So this is consistent with what the town has done on a regular basis.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Liz, any questions?
No questions. Just can we change the selectmen language to select board?
Yes, I think this is an older version. It's already been corrected in the version that Sharon's putting together.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Let's see. Anything else, Liz?
Nope, nothing else. Thank you.
Bill?
No, I was kind of curious about the light board officers. Why would they be included here? Wouldn't it come from the light board budget because it's a separate entity?
It is, but there's a separate article. I forget which one it was this year. The annual,
Yeah.
the perennial, where we also basically appropriate all the receipts, the disbursement of the light department receipts through that article. But in terms of setting these salaries for elected officials, that still needs a town meeting vote, so we call it out separately.
Okay, all right, thank you. Nothing else.
And just in terms of the language, Michelle, so for example, I understand that this is referring to the officers, and so the town clerk is an officer. Arguably, the select board, each of us, this would apply to members of the select board. For assessors, I'm assuming it applies to members of the board of assessors.
That's correct.
So if we could make that clear in the article, not because there are officers who work in the assessor's office. I mean, employees who work there. This does not apply to them.
Sure, we can clarify both of those. And
then finally, for municipal light board, I'm assuming it's the members of the municipal light board.
That's right.
So just so there's clarity in exactly which persons this applies to. I am going to actually hold off on a vote on this until David arrives, so that if he has anything to add, we can consider his comments. Do we need to send an Uber driver to go pick up David, or?
He said he would be right here. They were just wrapping up one executive session.
There he is. Welcome, David.
Hey, is that Joe? There you are. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So we are up to your area, and we're actually going to start with Article E.
Okay.
We have just reviewed the salaries of the town officers. I had asked about whether or not the language with respect to the town clerk had changed, which says that the town clerk, when serving as a member of the Board of Registrar of Voters, provided that the salary of the town clerk shall be reduced by all retirement allowances and pensions received by such officer from the town of Hingham. I had asked whether that's consistent with prior practice, and Michelle has told me it is. But could you explain what that last sentence is intended to convey?
It's a great question. I'm trying to remember now. It is retirement allowance and pensions. And so I believe that it may have covered a situation at one time where, depending how long somebody has served, where they may have been receiving a pension in addition, been entitled to receive a pension or receiving a pension. So we reduced it by that amount. That honestly, Joe, kind of predates me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to the extent that it happens in any given year, maybe.
Yeah.
If Carol were to leave and Eileen were to come back and is working, I don't know, as a retiree, maybe.
So my understanding, just reading it, is that the salary of the town clerk is set, and that to the extent that the town clerk receives other compensation, presumably from the town for pensions or a retirement benefit, those payments would not increase the salary of the town clerk, but they would basically offset the salary of the town clerk. Is that a fair
Correct.
summary?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, that appears to be what it means. Did you have any other comments? Because I believe each of us on the select board are satisfied with this, but do you have any further comments that you would like to make on Article E?
No, nothing to add.
Okay, I am prepared to accept the motion then on Article E.
I will make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article E.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And Joe? Aye. Approved. We move now to Article D, Report of the Personnel Board. And David, please explain to us what is in the report.
The report is chock full this year, Joe. I think
I saw.
It's been a busy year, as we've talked about in prior meetings, but I think overall, try to hit the key highlights. One thing that's in there is recommendation of 3% general wage increase for all the non-union town employees, which would be consistent with the wage increase that we agreed to with collective bargaining agreements that have been settled so far. So that would be as of next fiscal year, July 1. We outline in there that we have settled 4 of the 5 collective bargaining agreements that had expired at the end of last fiscal year, June 30th, 2021. We outline the terms so it's with the Police Superiors Union, Police Patrol Officers, Fire, and Library Staff Association. We've gone through each of those in past meetings when we presented them to your approval. But the general, the result of those 4 collective bargaining sessions was, as I mentioned, a 3% general wage increase commencing as of July 1, 2021. For the 3-year term. All of those agreements are for 3 years, with one exception, which I'll get to. There was a 3% wage increase for each of the unions as of July 1, 21 for the 3-year term. The fire department, which had been working without a contract since July 1, 2020, there was a kind of a stopgap, if you will, 1-year contract also approved that ran from July 20 through June 30th, 2021, that had just a 2% general wage increase, which was consistent, which was what was given to other unions and towns in that fiscal year. The one union that is still in negotiation is the DPW rank and file. And so it's carrying over into this year. not settled yet. In addition to the 3% general wage increase for each of the collective bargaining agreements that have been settled, there were equity adjustments to various positions within those unions as demonstrated when we do our 20-town comparison to bring different positions up to the median in that 20-town comparison. The police officers, both the patrol officers union and the superiors officers union, agreed to a body cam policy. So we'll be implementing body cams this year. You probably are more alert to the timetable of that than I am, actually, the actual implementation. And in consideration for that agreement, we did agree to an additional 1% wage increase for the two police unions effective July 1 of 2021. There's a number of other modifications that were kind of outlined in the personnel board report, which I know we've gone through in previous sessions. It was also a pretty busy year outside of collective bargaining, doing our regular job, administering the personnel board, or personnel bylaw, I should say. We finalized it was finalized at last town meeting and adopted at last town meeting was the wage and classification study for town non-union employees. We had a number of reclassifications, new hires, and promotions. I think Tom and team have been busy, rightfully so, in getting up fully staffed in hiring and meeting the challenges of this new environment, which is a difficult hiring environment that we live in. We've also made a number of changes and just did a couple tonight to reflect the increase in the minimum wage in Massachusetts, which is going from I think it was $13.50 or $13.45 to $14.25 as of January 1 this year, and $15 next year. So we've kind of ramped up to comply with minimum wage requirements, and that required kind of increasing other positions or kind of future steps. So if the step 1 went up to $15, you have to increase step 2 accordingly. And we had a few newer positions, and we also decided last year with the adoption of Juneteenth as a statewide holiday to amend the bylaws rather than listing out the holidays. One by one, we decided to basically recognize any holiday for town employees that was adopted by the state of Massachusetts or Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a statewide holiday, so we don't need to go back and amend the bylaws and add holidays each time the state agrees to do so. So I think I've hit most of the highlights there. I'm happy to talk about any other pieces if you want to dive into it a little bit.
David, thank you. So I have one question. The report that we have on the first page includes a recommendation that the town raise and appropriate the sum of $364,854. Can you explain to us what that dollar amount represents?
Sure. The dollar amount, which is calculated by Sue Nickerson, it will represent the funds needed for the 3% general wage increase to town employees, an amount estimated for that we would need for the increase in wages payable in connection with the DPW contract, collective bargaining agreement, if and when settled. And it includes an additional sum of money, a little cushion, if you will, that will cover any reclassifications, new hires where we need to hire above step 1 for that position, et cetera, that will occur over the course of the year. So it kind of anticipates any additional funds that may be needed for new hires and reclassifications, a small amount, but primarily it's the 3% general wage increase for town non-union employees.
Tom, is this number, or Tom or Michelle, is this number included in our budget?
No, it's done in this article.
It's in
done
this
as part of this article.
So it's part of, so I just want to make sure we weren't double counting. So it's in the article, it doesn't go into.
It's not in Article 6 as well.
Okay. And then, David, the final question that I have concerns your board. I mean, you, Jack Manning, Courtney, Karen have been working really hard. But, you know, special comment for Russ Kahn, who I understand has given his notice and I understand that you, with our support, might be doing your best to resist accepting that notice. But you know, if you could let us know close to when his last day will be, because I think our board and others may wish to honor him in a special way. He's done a tremendous amount of work, and it's a real loss to your committee and to the town. So I don't know at this point if you wanted to say anything more about your committee or about Russ, or we can save that for a subsequent meeting.
No, thank you, Joe. I mean, for those kind words. Yes, I would love to convince Russ to stay on for a while longer. He's been a fantastic colleague and carried a tremendous load for the personnel board and for the town of Hingham over the last 10 years. He's agreed to stay on at least through June 30th of this year, the end of the fiscal year. I hope we'll have somebody to replace him by then. But no, he's been a tremendous, become a good friend over the years as well. Tremendous amount of respect for him personally and professionally, and just really thankful for the amount of time and the hard work he put into it, especially with a lot of our collective bargaining agreements over the last few sessions. So he's been great, and I wish we could convince him otherwise to stay on a little longer, and we'll keep our claws into him so we can always pull him in as needed in special occasions. But he has indicated he's willing to kind of keep supporting the town in maybe other capacities, and so hopefully we find a way to integrate him into the town, because he is a great asset, no doubt.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll let you know. I'm sure we'll do something for him before June 30th or around that time, and we'll definitely let you know.
Thank you. Liz, any comments or questions?
Thank you, David, for explaining the report and all of the work and the entire personnel board. Just a question to follow on what Joe was asking about the sum of money, the 364,854, or maybe this is a question for Michelle or Tom, but where does that money come from? Is that the reserve fund, or?
It's appropriated through the budget process like everything else. It's sort of like consider articles 4, 5, and 6, the appropriations.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Bill.
Yeah, first of all, David, I know the personnel board did a lot of work this year, so my thanks to your leadership and the great work of the board. I mean, to knock out 4 of the 5 contracts, collective bargaining agreements was fantastic. So thank you for that. And I know you're working hard on the last one. So great job all around.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to follow up on that 364 as well. So is the 364, because we're talking a lot about the budget the past 2 weeks, is the 364 accounted for in this budget? Tom and Michelle?
Oh, yeah.
I think you have to think of the budget as like the sum of articles 4, 5, and 6, basically.
So the path to the balanced budget that was presented on Tuesday night, without the additional request, the 364 is included in that number.
It is. It's in the forecast. Yes.
Okay, it's in the forecast. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Good to hear that. Thank you.
You bet.
Are there any members of the public with comments or questions on Article D? Seeing none, I'm prepared to accept the motion.
I would make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article D.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
And Joe. Aye. Approved. David,
Thank you.
again. We know you had a meeting earlier, and so thanks for dashing over and to join us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, folks. Have a good night.
David, you
You
too.
too.
Bye.
And so we have handled public comment. We've given the town administrator select board reports. I am prepared to accept a motion to adjourn at 7:29.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
And Joe. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank
Night,
you
everyone.
all.